Hello, and welcome back to Factorio Space Age. We've been putting together our main bus system. Currently, we have our chip fab all done, which is the processing units, advanced circuits, and electronic circuits. And I've also set up a petroleum area here, which is giving us all of the goodies we need, we hope. And they're all kind of pointed north toward the bus here somewhere. I am still kind of putting together what the bus is going to look like. So our bringing of these chips down here is kind of a preliminary, I don't know, maybe. Got to looking at what we're building and what we're planning on building. And the next large quantity item on the docket is we need to build low density structures. In fact, I took a look at what our resources were. I'm thinking about what resources I want on the bus. And our biggest resource, surprisingly, was copper plate. And don't you know, what was using all that copper plate was low density structures. So what I'm going to do, instead of putting 2 belts of copper plate on the bus and then pulling them off for LDSs and then forever having those 2 belts worth of space on the bus that I can't use for anything else, I'm going to put an LDS build in here, and I'm going to add 2 more smelters of copper for my copper plate. So let's get this set up here really quick. Suppose I can just grab these 2 like this, and I can say snap to grid absolute. Drop that in there, and my robots will happily build it. We're going to need 2 more belts of copper. Well, we've got 7 outputs. We've got 4 that are being looped back in. Now, I could easily enough readjust that to do the right thing. Let's do that. I'm going to have to kill these guys. It is quite possible that I'm going to have to dip into my blueprint bag and find an appropriate merger. So let's see. If I want to add a lane above and below this to make the right number of lanes, okay. Now these belts, these all need to be moved up by 2 smelters. And we will let the robots figure out what is going on there. Over on this side, I'm going to trim off everything to the left of these guys. I'm going to reverse that so we have more outputs. And that's going to be kind of unfortunate. We may not be getting our full desired outputs out of all of these. That's all right. I am doing this on a best guess basis. There, and we're just going to put that like that. It's going to take a while for our robots to get that done. Let's see. My longest line here, are any of these... Is this turning out more than a red belt? No, it's not. So we are consistently underdriving this. This is not actually giving us all of the belts of copper that we need. We'll just have to deal with it for a while. until I can start modulating things and beaconing things. The alternative is setting up another mine like over here and bringing in more copper. Let's keep that in our back pocket. If we end up running our factory slow, if we're not getting quite as much stuff as we want, that's okay. The point is to get it scaled up in terms of the build and then start upgrading machines and so on to get to where we want to be. And if that means we also need to use rail to bring in more of the resources, that's fine. If that means we need to go out and basically take over huge amounts of territory from biters' nests, that's also fine. Or we can just admit that our factory, while it is laid out to have a certain capacity, we don't have the materials to support that, and we'll just deal with what we've got. Okay, so while you are working, next step is bringing out the output lines. These lines are going to be headed for low-density structures. Like that. Now, in the process of doing all this, I did cut the power to my smelter array. And we cut this. So we're basically stalled here. But this is feeding into arrays that are not going anywhere. So we're good. We're actually good. But these two copper lines need to go over to our LDS build, which is going to be over here somewhere. I am going to need to have better robo coverage in here. Let's just do that. I'll put my build so that it doesn't cover up these guys. So it's going to head to the left over here. Yeah. Kind of assuming some things about the size of it, aren't we? The other thing is it needs to come down here. Oops. Did we just remove a radar? I think we just removed a radar. You. Gotta get the radar in before I completely lose sight of this. There we go. Yeah, we get radar coverage from our roboports, but I want to keep the radar coverage from the radars as well because we are going to eventually be picking up a lot of those roboports. And I am going to kill those two roboports here because our LDS is likely to get fairly big. We need a total of 75 machines. So if I set this up as 80 machines, I could do that as, well, let's see. How does this shake out? Total we're looking at uses up 2 full belts of copper from the top. So we're looking at least 2 lines if I want to do this the easy way, and 4 lines. That's not actually a bad idea. Hold on. Let's bring it out as a blueprint so I can I just put some power out here, please? Thank you. So let's take a look at what these look like when I put them in place. LDS has 3 inputs. Lots of copper plate, a little bit of steel and plastic, and an output. So the 2 inputs, I am thinking we have copper coming north-south here, and the other 2 coming south to north. and our output out here. The alternative is to have our output here. That does place our output in the middle. It means we use a long-handled inserter to get access to that. It means this guy doesn't have fast copper. Oh. That would push this one further over. So this would be a lane of copper, and this would be a lane of copper. And this would be our output, and this would be the other two inputs. That's getting ugly. Okay, I don't like it. I really just don't like it. No, not going to do that. What I could do is bring the copper down the middle like that. Bring the other two inputs here. Bring my output down here. It's a little wider, but it's a lot cleaner. Yeah, let's do it this way. So let's see, we have our input of copper from the middle. This is the not copper input. And then we have our output like that. You know what? I think I'm going to toss that in like that. And we'll filter our outputs to document what it is. So these two outboard lines will have LDSs on the outside. Let's grab this, flip it horizontally, and put it in here. Now there's another dodge I can do. Our total LDS output, if I can look this back up again, is going to be 0.2 belts. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just put this out over here like this. So this belt is going to be on both sides. These belts are going to be single lane. And here's our inputs. Okay. So that is our repeatable unit of 12. Now LDS we wanted 75. So that would be 6 1/4 reps of this. I'm going to put in more than that. I'm going to put in 8 reps of this total, just to keep the numbers nice and round. It means we'll have extra machines that aren't going to be running. We'll be running at a lower rate. It'll put more LDS will be sitting in the machines and on the belt, so we'll have some on-belt stock. It gives us burst performance, although we're going to be limited by the 2 belts of copper coming in from the north to our designated rates. Okay. Let's pick this up. And actually, I'm going to want to center this on something. I'd like to center it on this. I think the best way to do that is to stamp it down here and do that. Okay, so these are 2 half belts. We will merge everything together when we get down to the bottom. That gives us a nice symmetric layout. Okay. Snap to grid absolute. Said I needed 8 of these. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And let's put RoboPorts back in for construction coverage. I made this more compact than I thought. I thought I was going to go much, much wider. There's no reason to go extra wide if we don't need it. So just to let ourselves use up this space, but there's our LDS build. Our copper comes in from the north. There's the copper. What is going on up here? Oh, yeah, you aren't marked with the copper because you've never, the furnaces have not actually processed any of their input yet. These are all done building, so I need to work out getting the copper onto these belts and then distributing it off of those belts and doing the 9 to 9 9 to 9 balancer. You. I am sure there's a good way of doing that. It's too bad I don't want to prioritize. I could prioritize and just deal with the fact that some of my copper lanes will be empty until the other ones are backed up. We could prioritize from the top down, so we would get LDSs churning through, which are likely to back up first. Oh, and then all the rest of the other 6 go down here. So, yeah, it's all green chips and LDSs, isn't it? So the only really important thing I'm thinking is that everybody has access to every line. Yeah, I think I'm going to put in a thingy that I saw. Basically, the assertion I saw was that a layout like this, while it used a lot of excess splitters, was actually fairly decent at prioritizing. What you do is you say output priority right on all of these. So that should prioritize everything off to the right. Just like that. And it gives every lane access to stuff from every other lane. I am going to do this again after the smelters, just to confirm that we are doing this the really ugly prioritization way. And we'll go manually work out how I want to route my belts. Since we are going to be doing a prioritization of them, whoops. Doesn't really matter. So this will not fit. However, that is a belt. I think I'm going to do. I'm going to say we're doing this, and what we're doing with the merges is we're going to bring it in all the way over here. Let's get rid of the belt balancers and put them in the appropriate place. This allows me to use undergrounds to go over the next. Now, I could have used a lane balancer that doesn't use undergrounds. Whoops. There, and there. Getting closer to the bottom now. There. So that should get me my lanes. Let's make sure we are not overloading that belt. That belt is running 1.04. Okay, that's good enough. Most of these belts are going to be less than a full belt, and we've talked about that before, so we're good. I need to get power in there. Now we need to work on distribution of the copper to these guys. Okay, so here's what the Here's what the residency of the belts looks like as they're coming out of the system. This is from the top down to the bottom. You can see that most of the lanes are a substantial fraction of a red belt, but not overfilling it. This bottom lane is actually saturating it. That's okay. He'll back up and meet. Oh, no. Yeah, the bottom lane is saturating it. He knows he's backing up now. We are reprioritizing and sending them out to the smelters. Once we get productivity modules in, these smelters will require less than a full belt of full belt of copper, or to produce a full belt of copper plate. That will happen once we get modules. Okay, so plates are coming out. Plates are getting prioritized. We're trying to keep this full. We're sending it out here, and it is doing nothing because we have no other inputs. Your other inputs are plastic and steel. So these vertical lines going up here need to be plastic steel mixes. And what I'm going to do for them is we're going to put in things like this. I'm going to give him plenty of breathing room. Okay. Now, it doesn't really matter which one of these lines is plastic and which one is steel. So LDS is going to require a significant amount of plastic. Let's take a look. What is my plastic? I need half a belt of plastic across both of these. So let's go get our plastic from below. At some point, we will be splitting this plastic line so that some of it will go down the bus and the other half will go upwards to where we are. And I am just going to grab these two just arbitrarily. And there is our plastic source. So copper and plastic, and now we need steel. Doesn't really matter where we do our steel. In fact, I could put this here. Oh, yeah, let's move this over. Okay, that just means I need to get rid of all of the plastic that went up. Well, the easy way to do that is you grab the whole thing like this. You say Control X, Control X of, so let's just do the belts. And then you Control Z to put it back. It'll put back the belts without the plastic on them. Except, of course, where we've got a little bit of plastic that was in the wrong place. We'll have to dig that out by hand. Easy enough. Okay. We have not yet decided where steel is on our belt. And we have not yet decided where the LDS is going to come out. But let's take care of merging this all together. You're going to come out. Going to give you a little breathing room here. Like that. We're going to merge that in. We have less than one belt. I am going to now, in fact, we have less than half a belt. Low density structures, yeah. Significantly less than half a belt of low density structures at this point. So I can output priority left and change this to a you shall not pass. And there's my half belt of low density structures coming out, which can be used for rockets. It can be used for other parts. So the other things we need to make here, not in any of the plans yet. We do need to make significant quantities of space platform foundation, which is going to take steel plate and copper cable. Okay. Starter packs, which require same thing plus blue chips. Those are all set. Cargo landing pads. And we haven't got anything else done yet until we get some of this built. Specifically, we need to send a space platform starter pack to space before we can unlock the rest of these recipes. And what I wanted to point out was that a lot of the stuff that we do in space requires low density structures. Okay, so cargo bays and crushers and asteroid collectors are all the important space-oriented things that we need to loft. Those will require LDSs. Okay, so we've got that. I think our next step is to build a steel smelter, and we can probably pack that into this same recording. Let me go review my notes real quick and make sure that that's going to be feasible. Okay, so I have reviewed my situation with respect to steel. And what I think I want to do is up here. So instead of making this one of the smelters that's going to be over here, that's going to be feeding the bus, well, gosh, at this point, I am going to need to rail in some iron and some copper, because I am using these entire things to feed these arrays. Or alternately, I can feed the iron and copper on the bus with the remains of what is left over after these guys are done. I may have to do that. But what I need to do is set up a major steel smelter up here. It's going to be at least this big, because I need to take 4 belts of iron ore in and turn them into steel. You're thinking this may be overkill, and I am thinking you are probably right. Hold on. Let's get these all turned the right way. There we go. So a steel smelter, there's 2 ways to do this. First is you can smelt the iron into iron plate and put it on a belt. And then take that belt and send it to another array that smelts that iron plate and puts it on a steel belt. I am going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to do the analog of the stuff that I've been doing for a long time, which is I am going to start off with something like this. We want to do is we want to take up I'm not carrying any of these. Logistics. Hey, logistics. I need to be carrying some of these. Now, if I wanted to make them the same length, what I would need to do is put two machines in tandem, like this. The question is, how do you get the steel output and the iron input? Well, if I move one of them over, I can bring my iron ore down here. I can take my steel out there. So we put those. See, how fast do these output? 0.62 per second. That's fine. I'm going to try to make this analogous to this with just this little extra processing in the middle. And if I set it up to be exactly the same setup, next one, come on. So we got the ore coming in, we've got the steel going out here. Now all this requires is the steel going out. Okay, take that, flip it horizontally, and put it there. If I take this and make it my absolute unit, it's the same length, so this will still eat up a complete belt of iron input. Well, each side will eat up a complete belt of iron input. Oh, no. Both sides together eat up the belt of iron. That's right. Okay, so that's one belt of iron, and we need 4 of those. I think I need to wait for this to be built before I can put out the rest of them. Well, I can. Snap to grid, absolute. So if I hold down shift but not control shift, it will not get rid of the roboports. So 2, 3, 4. There is our steel smelter. Significantly larger than our iron smelter to handle the same amount of ore as we expected. It would have been twice as large if I just simply laid out, smelt the iron, smelt the steel. We'll lay it out again once we get everything set up. I will just go through and deal with the bits that are left over. And the steel coming out the bottom. Whoops. Hold on. Right, so this is here. So these 4 lines need to be merged. Each one of them is 0.2 of a belt before putting modules in. After we put modules in, things will change. Our output rate goes down and our input rate goes down by more. What I'm thinking is, we're at a convenient location. I'm going to bring this over like this. Oh, we need to lane balance so that any imbalance in the input loading is spread across the two. Let's, I can wipe out the bottom ones. Okay, lane balancers. You're there. I'm going to spread you up by 1. So you come across there. Grab the whole thing. Flip it horizontally. Put it in place. And these 4 belts need to go down to 2. I would like to lane balance them properly. I believe they've been lane balanced. I'd like to balance across all 4 of them. A simple way is to do something like this. And there is our 0.8 lane or 0.8 buses worth of steel, which will be, the load will be split between these 2, which will be split between these 2, which will reflect back to be split between each lane, and we're done. So that steel needs to come down and be fed through here, and needs to also go down to the bus. If I just bring it straight down, it's going to collide with that, but I can bring it down to the copper here, and I guess assign it a lane here somewhere. Yeah, let's put it to the right of the power poles. So when we get rid of the roboports, it'll make sense. I believe, yes, we go up to here. Okay, this also means that the steel should probably come in from the right. There we go. I'm not going to prioritize the steel, so if we are using all of our steel, then LDS is going to get half and the bus is going to get half. If either one of them backs up, the other will get more. But I'm not going to say all of it goes to LDS until we've filled our LDS quotient. That's not going to happen. Do we want to put LDS into the logistics network? Well, yes, we do. And we're going to put it in down here somewhere. I do need to set up this underground thingy, bringing it down. Let's see here. It's too bad I didn't look over here to see what my alignment was. I could have probably compacted this a bit. But let's start from here. We're going to bring you down this far. I am keeping only the undergrounds. There. So now we can bring that over to here. And grab 4 stacks of low-density structures into the logistics network. So ghost can't be removed while remote viewing. Seems to me to be counterproductive. Well, anyway, there we are. So, what are we missing on the steel? We are missing getting the actual ore into place. We're not done building down there yet, but these guys, I think we can get rid of the roboports here. Did we lose coverage anywhere? I think we still have build coverage. We're just going to have to wait and see. So ores, we now need 8 belts of ore coming out. I am going to take you guys, and I'm going to save these over here some. Well, no, I won't. Oh, need to get 8 belts through here somehow. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 8. So that would be here, or we go under the roboports. Let's go under the roboports. Now, how am I going to merge these in? I'm thinking what we'll do is we'll actually do every other one. So, instead of the way this is laid out, I'm going to do something really kind of cheaty in terms of thinking. So we've got every other line coming in. Want to bring this line all the way up and merge it into there. This roboport's in a very bad place. I think if I do this, and we merge those two, so these 4 belts are evenly split, and these 4 evenly split. So this will be, these 2 are now going to be balanced. Okay, now this one. This does the same thing, and it comes up to here. like that. There. So these belts should now be evenly split. That's better. Make sure these guys are configured properly. Gonna move this guy as well. There. Okay. If I grab from there all the way up to here, that'll save me some time. We actually have 8 belts coming south, so each of these needs to be split twice. Like that. Okay, next ones. Grab that, and this should just lay out perfectly like that. Did not do site prep. Let's just hit this whole thing with a site prep here. There. Once our robots are done building that, we should now have a significant fraction of a belt of steel coming out. Let's go to X64 for a moment. Actually, you notice our UPS is slowing down. As our base gets bigger, the speed with which we can actually do this slows down. And now we see there's some stuff in here where we cannot place with robots. There. That was just outside green range because I wiped out too many roboports at once. See, inside there, none of this has any coverage for construction. And if we look at this by eye, we should see copper, or excuse me, iron plate and steel alternating back and forth like this. Now, I checked earlier, and there were a few of these lines where we had, before we fixed the inserters, some of the furnaces had picked up some iron plate rather than iron ore. And I actually fixed that a while back. I figured I'd mention it as long as we're proofing this now to take a look at it. So steel comes south. And this is all the steel we need for the bus. Now I have somewhere in my buffer here the thingy that brings the stuff down. We're going to start putting these guys on the bus somehow. What I'm going to do for now is I will just put straight line tags out where they are. We're going to be reworking this, so I will chomp you back. I don't think that's going to be my final area. So what I want to do is I want to pass through any of the plates that are not actively being used. So we have a whole bunch of stuff we can do here. We have copper on this line. Let's see, if I put it in here, there's going to be copper. And there's iron and copper. What we'll do is we will merge it all together on the bus area. Trying to line it up by eye. Okay, so we've got that. We're not going to be able to recover copper from the top, so what I'll do is I will recover the copper from here. Actually, let's go ahead and place it at this level. Makes it a little bit easier to see where things are lined up. Okay, so that captures all the copper. Red chips are flowing down. You have no excess to capture. Your steel is going down. Okay. Get these hooked up. Oh, well, that actually is much nicer there. I'm going to grab that because this is exactly the same layout. So now my open question is, what order do I want things on the bus? And that depends on how much of it is being used downstream. Now, we have diverted a whole lot of normal bus usage to other things. Tremendous loads of iron and copper have been dealt with already because mostly that's used for red and green chips. We come down to, if I am correct, we need less than 1/10 of a belt of copper. However, we need over half a belt of iron and half a belt of steel. So I'm going to start off by saying steel is going to be on the top, followed by iron and copper. However, we have one thing of import. I want to divert from this blue chips, LDS, and rocket fuel into this area above the bus. Because I think our next build here is going to be our launch area. We now have all of the pieces for it. We're not going to get all of them. For instance, blue chips. Some blue chips go to the bus. And some LDSs go to the bus. And rocket fuel is also split between powering our rockets and going on the bus, I think. Is that correct? That is incorrect. Rocket fuel goes on to only the bit of the bus that goes out to the rockets. So I'm going to lock down this lane as being our rocket fuel lane. Make sure that we have used it for nothing else. I'm going to bring it out to here-ish. And this is going to be our blue chip line. And this is going to be our LDS line. So my intent is that for this area of 6 belts, this will be gathering together groups of outputs with which we do something. So first off, we have this set of outputs which are going to be making our actual launch area, which we can't set up quite yet because we do not actually have anything to build them. We will also have, since these are going to disappear from the bus down to there to the left somewhere, we will be building up belts which are science. So each belt will have 2 colors of science on it, so we could get more than just the 6 colors of science. Initially, we have been building 4 kinds of science. At some point in the future, but not right away, we will be unlocking and doing yellow science and purple science. But as you can see from here, we're rushing to space. We want to get some remote space science done before that. Now, over in the science area, we will have a landing pad where we're going to be bringing down science from orbit and from other planets. That'll all be together. However, right in here, what I want to do is I want to reserve space immediately for our launch pad area. So I'm going to go down to here. Actually, let's go to bar 6. And I'm going to start putting space things down. Rocket silos. I want to do a blueprint for the rocket silo, but it's going to go in here somewhere. And you're going to turn north and you're going to satisfy all of the input requests for the rocket silos, which will just go straight up in a line. I have no need to put 2 lines of them. I'm just going to do 1 line. In fact, I think, how wide are you? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Would it have killed you to have made that an even number? Anyway, rocket silos are going to go up in here somewhere. I will, for now, just place that there. Actually, let's place it here. Have our inputs come up to the left somewhere. They'll need to be out far enough so that we can take from these 3 belts and send it into stuff here. But this is where our rocket silos will go. They're just lined straight up. Anyway, so now we actually have production of all the things we need to make rockets. And I'm going to call this a recording. I'm going to see if I can join the 2 parts of this episode together. And we will go on to our next thing shortly. I will see you then.